The 2010 Clone Turbo Tank is one of my favorite LEGO Star Wars sets ever. Originally retailing for $120, if you want one new and sealed box today, it'll cost you nearly $500. However, you can get a used one for under 200 bucks, which is a stellar deal for as great of a model as it is. But when Republic Bricks offered to send me his $500 UCS Clone Turbo Tank completely for free, I knew I had to accept to find out if it's worth buying over that 2010 model. Now, this was built a few months back, so unfortunately I did lose my introduction footage of the original video where you would be able to see that this is bagged nicely and the parts are in generally good condition. You can definitely tell that from just looking at it here, that everything looks like it's on the up and up as far as the quality of pieces go. It does include 2,359 of them, and it claims to be able to fit 15 minifigs inside. As something claimed to be a UCS model, you really look for two things. First off is detail, and this definitely has it. It's got a lot of intricate details on the model, especially in this particular section. I really love the look of that, and it's also a much more tiled, finished off look than the official LEGO sets that they've done, and that's something that definitely adds to the experience, as well as just having much bulkier, bigger looking wheels. Like, it definitely has the look of a UCS Clone Turbo Tank, but I think it's missing one of the most important aspects of what people usually see with UCS, and that is undoubtedly the size of the thing. It's almost the exact same size as the 2010 Clone Turbo Tank. Now, it would be unfair to compare them in just the size category, because this thing weighs a heck of a lot more. It is definitely got more in it than this does, and so that on its own is certainly worth more, and there is value there. However, when I think UCS, I tend to think something big, like the Republic Bricks Venator there is a true UCS set to me, or that UCS Slave 1, or the AT-AT versus the Playscale AT-AT. But when you put these two next to each other, it just looks like a more finished off version of a regular set, and I don't love that. Now, I did say the set is very heavy, and to prove that to you, I think we can just look at the wheels. There's a really big sag to them. They definitely take the brunt of that weight, and they don't handle it very well. They're not quite strong enough to hold up under that pressure. You can just see them kind of bowing at the front, and yeah, I'm not a huge fan of the way that ends up looking, because it certainly detracts from what is otherwise a generally pretty good look. Now, there's one other major detractor for this set looks-wise, and that's these panels on the side that can open and close. While they can open and close, and that's nice, and I'll touch on that in a second, looks-wise, they end up having this really big gap here because I can't get them to stay up. I don't know, man. They just don't want to stay. Maybe it was built wrong. That is always a possibility, but it seems unlikely to me that both sides would be built wrong, so I'm gonna assume that this is a problem with the actual build that just wasn't fleshed out. The doors are really heavy, and so they just tend to sag down, and there's no real thing like clipping them in place. The only thing really holding them in place is this tile here that it has to get up and over to like even possibly sit there. So without that tile there, it would just fall completely down. But yeah, I mean, it looks nice if you get them to stay like that, but you really can't get them to stay like that. So yeah, it's a bit of a problem there too. Now, while the wheels look nicer than the official LEGO models, they don't roll as nicely. They are really heavy wheels, like I said, and you can see them just kind of chugging along. The middle wheels, in fact, don't really even roll that well, if at all, most of the time on a hard surface, mostly because they're getting caught up on this piece here with just way too much friction. It ends up looking a bit derpy if you roll it. Now, I don't think you should be buying something like this as a playset. I honestly think it would be fine if the wheels didn't roll at all, because this is something that I would prefer to just throw up on a shelf and have it look nice, especially spending $500. But it's kind of a half-baked functionality, and at that point, I think you just shouldn't bother. Basically, I'm saying I think it would have been much better if the wheels didn't like bow up and were a little bit stronger versus having the half-baked ability to roll. Another huge problem I've had with this one is pieces on the underside falling off. Parts like this can get knocked off so easily on this underside that it's super frustrating anytime I want to move the set. I mean, all the time these pieces are coming out. You can see these ones are already starting to separate again, and I probably just put them back there yesterday. It absolutely looks great when it's all put together. It looks much better than the LEGO version with all those technicals and such. However, it just falls apart so easily. I mean, you know, it comes at a cost there, and I don't think it's worth that cost. At 500 bucks, you would expect it to both look nice and be structurally sound, and it can't really stand up to like any movement. Before we check out our fully furnished interior and check our minifig capacity, like, the weapons on top are beautiful. It's something that the LEGO sets just can't quite match because they always incorporate some sort of play functionality with them. But here on this set, they look awesome. I think all three here are great. And then you also have the tower here, which is supposed to move up and down. However, The functionality of it's not that great. Like, you are supposed to raise it up this much, and then you can push. Basically, you can raise it up like this, but it definitely requires 2 hands to hold this down while you pull the other thing up, but pushing it down is much easier. Yeah, it looks cool and can fit 1 minifig. So we'll call that the first out of the, quote, up to 15 minifigures you can fit. Now, opening this section here, for as nice as it looks, it's got a major problem. This piece on top, very loose. You can't actually connect it to the studs that it's supposed to connect to, because this piece here comes slightly above them. You can really see that right there, comes slightly above and disallows any connection where it's actually supposed to be made. So if we lift and pull this out of its spot, you can see the way this is supposed to connect up here is actually a really sturdy connection and works really nicely, like really rock solid on there, I think, at least for a custom set. It still has a little bit of wobble to it, but it's not just falling off like it was before. But when this panel is connected up underneath, it can't do that, which is just, it's another one of those small refinement things when you're paying $500 for a custom set. I don't expect perfection, but I certainly expect like a reasonable level of refinement, and that is just not there. Now, this forward section looks absolutely amazing with the control panels even on the side walls of the turbo tank. It's got tons of different styles of control panels, 4 seats, some levers. At most, I would say 7 figures can fit in this section with 4 at the seats and then 3 standing within. It works. That's 8 figures total so far. And if you were curious, the way the Lego model works is this front section pops down, this section goes up, and these come out. Gives you pretty good access, but the actual amount of interior space is much less. You can really only fit a couple, maybe 3 clones in that section versus the 7 there. So definitely an improvement here, but at the loss of a lot of stability. But this definitely looks nicer. Now the middle section here could have been great, but it's not. So we'll open this up and that's your access. You can see there are seats there for some clone troopers, which is great. But like, I can barely fit my fingers in here, and if I do, I'm gonna break it. Like, it's already coming apart here. Gonna reattach that. I thought that taking this piece off would alleviate the issue, because I thought it's what was stopping this from moving down any further, but it turns out it's just getting caught right there. Like, this is it. That is your access to the interior here, and that is pretty horrid. I would, like, honestly, I just think you should leave it out at this point. Like, why bother having this here when it's so half-baked that only a 4-year-old could fit their hand in there? The comparison to the Lego models, these handy little Technic pieces here pop right up, then you drop this down, and like, it's not a minifig space inside, unlike this one. So I do like the look of this one better. You just can't use it. It is more so made to carry a walker and little command center that they included in the set, but like, at least you can access the space properly, right? Like, it's tough. I figured I'd give an insight to the struggle of trying to fit minifigs inside of here. We can like maybe, oh, I can barely get it in there. I'm surprised that was a little bit easier than I expected. I assume with more parts in the way on the right here, it's only gonna get harder. I don't think you can fit these minifigs side by side like that. Yeah, no. You're gonna be able to fit 3 figures, even though it does look like there's 4 seats. There we go. All right, not bad. They look cool in there. By the way, there is a really neat function on the side of this where you can pop out like the missile launcher. That's a feature that I don't think the Lego sets have, is like a pop-out missile launcher. It is a really cool look on the side of the thing. However, it slightly changes the center of gravity for this piece to be a little more outward, and I think it tends to drag the piece off more, so it can fall off of this just so much easier, which is really important. I've had times where I put it up and it won't even stay up yet, just like that. So like, you can get it past that point, but it'll come right back down. Man, it's like so close to being cool, but it lacks like the stability you would want, even like on a basic level. Get that pushed back into place, and we'll try to fit 3 more figures on the other side now. You're at 8 figures. We added 6 more. That puts us at 14 with a whole nother section. Republic Bricks might have undersold the minifigs on this one. The interior is very easy to access, just pulling a panel down on the front, opening the sides just a little bit, and bringing the top up. It'll give you plenty of space to access this. The inside of this is super simple with some control panels, some levers, and a pair of seats. And with that pair of seats, adding 2 clone troopers to our tally of 14 brings us to 16 clone troopers, so slightly more than advertised. That's a good thing. Unfortunately, it seems like these side panels are pretty weakly attached. You can see this one about to be falling off here too. Yeah, it falls off a little bit easily with any real movement there. So that's a downside of this UCS model as well. The potential greatness for a UCS Clone Turbo Tank is tantalizing. And while this one does have some good attributes to it, the bad far outweighs the good. I wholly disagree with the direction of this set. I think it should have gone less playset and more scale and size. As a UCS set, you expect something big big, and I think anyone that would go out and possibly spend $500 on this, or saving 5% with code M&R on republicbricks.com, $475, is just going to be disappointed. I would totally way rather buy a sealed version of this set for $500 than I would buy this set and all the problems and baggage that comes along with it for $500, or better yet, for less than half the price, you can get a used version of this set, dust it up yourself, and it'll look, I mean, I just dusted this one, it's been on my shelf for years, and it looks pretty good. Like, I just think it's way more worth it for your money to go out and get the old Lego one versus this custom Republic Bricks one in this case. Republic Bricks and custom Lego models in general really do shine when they bring something to the table that Lego isn't already bringing to the table, but this isn't the case here, and it just does something the other set already does, but worse. I honestly don't think I'd recommend anyone buy it for $100 for the annoyance of having it and all the pieces falling off and this falling off, and versus the simplicity of the Lego model. Just get the Lego set from 2010. This is absolutely one of my least favorite Republic Bricks offerings to date. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Leave a like while you're at it, and you can check out more custom Lego Star Wars set reviews on the end screen now.